Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I do have a few things to share about Ethereum. I just want to talk about that here for you. This is the monthly chart of Ethereum, and what you can see is that it's trying to challenge the previous all-time high over here back in November 2021. There are a few indicators of interest here. First of all, if you are just simply looking at the FIB level here, you can see that pretty convincingly that has broken above the 0.886 log FIB here, where it got rejected here multiple times around $4,000. The last month we were able to break through that here convincingly. We have a little bit of a wick to try to challenge the previous all-time high over here, and the wick here has actually gotten above the other wick over here from the previous all-time high. Because we closed above the 0.86, the next logical move is for it to make some all-time highs here. Whenever that happens, it will happen. Here we're looking at the Bollinger Band on the monthly. You can see how price is impulsively going to the upside here along with the upper Bollinger Band as the Bollinger Band is expanding, not just to the upside but to the downside. This basically shows a very, very impulsive behavior, especially when price is broken above the 0.86. It does favor some of the higher targets to be met. Maybe one of the 1.272, 1.414, 1.618, anywhere around potentially 5 figures, or even some of these higher digits over here is possible if things end up going exponentially higher. But we take with just kind of one level at a time here. We need to kind of break above the previous all-time high here first before we can actually talk about moving further up to some of the other levels. But in addition to the FIB level, in addition to the monthly Bollinger Band expanding, you can also see that on the Ichimoku, if you look at the last cycle, there is an Ichimoku cloud here that you can see, and what you can end up seeing here is you have a line over here, blue line over here is called Tenkan, red line over here is called Kijun, and when you have the Tenkan and Kijun fused together and price is riding up along with it, this fusion over here is called Katana, and that generally precipitate a big move either one way or the other. In this particular case, because price is above the Katana. The Katana is shooting the price up here, as you can see. What do we have here? Well, we got a Katana here being built up, and price is currently impulsively going to the upside. So that is also favorable for Ethereum here as well moving forward. Looking at the weekly chart here, I do want to go through this cycle analysis here with you, where we basically have 3 cycles here to analyze for Ethereum. The first cycle was over here, is the shortest cycle there is. Second cycle is over here. Third cycle is what we're kind of going through right now, and we're at the edge of maybe breaking out of this cycle liquidity zone. You can see on every single cycle you have a resistance level that has a hard time breaking above, and every single cycle you have a little bit of a deviation broken above, a little deviation broken below this trend line, deviation, broken below the trend line, broken below the trend line with the COVID scare, broken below the trend line here for a couple of months here. But the overall trend is once we're able to break back above the cycle liquidity zone here, maybe back tested here a little bit. It doesn't always have to be back tested, but maybe back tested a little bit for a few months, which is what it's kind of doing right now to have broken through the 4,000 liquidity level over here. And it's been consolidating sideways over here, trying to find some energy before breaking up higher to some of the above levels. That is what I'm kind of looking at here, and that is still my primary case in terms of what's going to happen until proven otherwise. Now let's zoom in here to take a look at the daily chart here on something that I don't have a GAN here for. If I look at the daily chart and if I zoom in here, you can see that it's got a very interesting pattern here so far, where it's forming a little bit of an Adam and Eve continuation pattern, and you can see this potentially being a cup, and this is the handle over here. The entire time it is forming this cupping handle with the handle, the volume is not that great for the handle, and you got a pretty decent volume bullish engulfing candle that has just happened. If you're looking at the daily chart here, I can see 2 or 3 potentially pretty bullish pattern here. Well, first of all, you see the cup and the handle over here. I think that's pretty apparent. I'm going to turn off the volume here and basically just do a little bit of a retracement here from this high over here to this low over here, because it's been stuck in a range here more or less. You can see that the levels here are being respected pretty decently. We have this cup here, it got rejected here at the 0.786 log fib, came back down, was able to find support at 0.5. And we are simply trying to break through the 0.6 over here, work our way back over here to the 0.76, which I think is probably going to end up getting there because it's a pretty decent reversal that we're seeing. There are a couple other things here that I can see based on looking at this. First of all, if you zoom into this area over here, which I've made a post about this on X just a few hours ago, you can see something called a tweezer bottom where you have this wicks down below that didn't break down. If you have anywhere around 2 or 3 of these kind of wick sticking down like that, that's usually a pretty decent bottom, and that usually would precipitate a little bit more of a trend reversal here, which I think is happening with Ethereum. The other thing that I'm seeing here with this pattern is you have a big red candle, a small candle over here. Sometimes it can even be a doji candle of indecisiveness with no body over here, but here you got a little bit of a body, and you have a green reversal here. This pattern over here is what we generally refer to as a morning star, which is a bullish pattern. It's a reversal pattern, and it could end up leading to a reversal here, is what we're seeing. And you can see how this formation here so far is leading to some pretty decent bullishness over here. It is leading to this candle here pushing up higher. So I would say that the tweezer bottom as well as the Morningstar pattern here seems to be working out pretty well. I do also want to show you too on the 12-hour chart. It does look a little bit like a reaccumulation pattern over here. And I also made this chart here on X a few hours ago as well. It does look like a reaccumulation type pattern. I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but it's pretty close. You have a run up, you have basically price kind of going sideways over here. And in general, when you have these kinds of rounded bottom like that, it really does remind me of this 9 jump across the creek kind of pattern over here. That's what this is kind of reminding me of. It's showing some strength over here. The ST is higher than the BCLX, and you do have a little bit of like a creek formation. You can call this a creek and call this a creek. It doesn't really matter. Either way, it's consolidating sideways over here, building up more energy to reaccumulate before and trying to digest this big giant move that just happened before further bullish continuation. That is, for the most part, what I'm seeing here when it comes to Ethereum. So because of that, I really cannot be too bearish here for Ethereum at all. Now, in addition to that, if you're wondering how strong is Ethereum compared to the rest of the cryptocurrency market, I'm going to go back here to the weekly here. I'm going to do a chart here called the Ethereum dominance. The ticker symbol is ETH.D. And you can see that if I do that and I pull up the Ichimoku cloud, it has broken above the Ichimoku cloud over here. And with strength too, that's basically meaning that Ethereum wants to continue to outperform the rest of the cryptocurrency market here for the foreseeable future. Broke through the cloud, back tested the cloud for about 4 weeks. Maybe it's waiting for the Ichimoku Tenkan to kind of rise up as serve as support over here before we can have some further bullish continuation. So far, so good here, and it does look like we're going to have some, further bullish continuation. The other thing that also makes me more excited about the Ethereum dominance to potentially continue to go higher is that if you look at the monthly Bollinger Band, the 20-month moving average was reclaimed here by Ethereum dominance, and we simply spent a month here back testing the 20-month moving average. So far, it's holding pretty well. Because of a lot of different things, because of the Ethereum chart itself, because of cycle analysis, because of the Ichimoku cloud analysis, Bollinger Band analysis, Fibonacci level analysis, reaccumulation analysis, and Ethereum dominance analysis. All of these are basically pointing that Ethereum is going to go higher. And if the Ethereum, if Ethereum is going to continue to go higher, I don't really think that the rest of the cryptocurrency market cap is going to be that bearish. For example, I do want to show you a couple other charts here, and I'll call it a day. This is the Total 3 chart. Total 3 is the entire cryptocurrency total market cap here, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this really is the altcoin index, if you will. And guess what is happening right now on this monthly chart in September? is trying to break above and form all-time high. It's a very bullish structure with a cup and handle, and we have resolved, we were trying to resolve the handle over here by pushing up to all-time high. When I see something like that, I cannot be bearish on the market. The other thing here is, then there's another chart here called the others. Others basically is the cryptocurrency market cap excluding the top 10 coins. So you're talking about more speculative plays here. And we can see here is that it is also breaking above a very key level here at the 0.786. And you can see that more clearly here on the weekly. Last week you kind of got rejected over here. This week we are breaking through, and we look like we might be gravitating up here to the next level, the 0.86. I do think that for the most part it's forming higher highs and higher lows. And I do think that others chart over here is looking pretty decent for an altcoin breakout here. If it's able to convincingly break above the 0.86, not like a false breakout over here. Matter of fact, if you do a little bit of a linear scale, you can see what happened over here. It got rejected here at the linear 0.86. So that's why I couldn't really go that much higher. If we're able to break above the linear as well as the log 0.86 here with style, then I think others would end up performing extremely well and would end up following the footsteps of Ethereum here moving forward. So I am bullish on Ethereum, I'm bullish on altcoin, I'm bullish on the cryptocurrency market space in general. And those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a good one. Bye.